us and Lisa. Yeah.
Meeting ladies.
You know, keeping everybody honest here.
You're doing a good job.
For whatever it's worth.
You're gonna have your work cut out.
Hi. What?
An agenda.
The agenda. Oh.
Yeah, I guess I need one of those. Otherwise I can't snicker and smirk because of my lips moving.
No, you guys.
Oh, I looked at article in the car down there. Well, I don't know. Did you see in the Northwest Railroad and I thought, the towns of the Mchenry City area?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I got it out.
yeah.
Okay.
And then he's biting off more than he can chew. Yeah, well, good luck with that. He's trying to get everybody to hate him everywhere.
This man, is that what it says about us?
No.
This morning, my God, I thought it was the carts I was holding on to. Oh my God, it's freezing. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Just waiting for the next snowstorm to fall. So.
We're probably only gonna way too long.
Yeah, Friday tomorrow.
We're getting paid back for all those miles minutes we did.
Yeah, I think so.
I figured we were gonna have it coming, especially how mild it was in December.
Exactly.
Did McSweeney give their bill to get signed, or
Oh,
they throw him out on his ear? I hope.
I hope.
That one didn't get signed.
Good.
It didn't go through today? Because it was up this morning.
Oh,
I think.
358.
I don't know about the new one, but his old version expired at the end.
I know, he was gonna
They
try to
didn't bring it
present,
so that it,
he didn't
Yeah.
present it again today?
I know he had it up, but I don't think it's on committee yet, is it?
I don't know. I don't know, I just read that he was gonna try to bring it up
So-
again, but they had that $15
Craig
thing going
Wilcox-
today, so.
Craig Wilcox filed a bill that's very similar, except it puts protections in there like the assets of the township have to be used, then to maintain the township, if it transfers to the county, then the assets for this township have to benefit the taxpayers that paid for them.
Right.
And that the
But
debts
the
of
county
a
doesn't even want us,
consolidated,
you know,
that the debts of a consolidated
just go through
township
the
don't go to
county
the
for
whole county.
anything. You can't get anything out of the county.
So,
I remember I built my first house in McHenry. I got my water thing, it said I could go ahead and build. So then I got a letter, said, fine, everything, go ahead and start your building. So I go to get the permits, get the house built, and the guy goes, well, you can't build on that lot. And I said, what do you mean I can't build on that lot? I have a letter from you guys. Well, I got a second letter that said I couldn't build. I go, what the hell is this? It's signed by the same guy. What? He changed his mind after I got my permits? So I went down there and threw a hissy fit, and they said, oh, you can build.
Well, that's all right.
And I
Well,
was
built
like,
a
freaking
garage,
fresh.
And they were very insistent that it's gotta be 15 foot from the lot lines.
Yes,
Net
I had
include-
trouble with it. They wanted me to chop part of my roof off because they said it was too close to where the garage was gonna
Oh,
go.
well, get this, and that includes the overhang, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so it's 15 foot, including the overhang, 15 foot from the back. My neighbor put a shed up that is right on the property line.
but as long as it's smaller than 10 by 8.
And it's movable. If it's on a permanent
It's a
slab,
temporary
then you
property.
got a problem, but if it's a
It's a
movable
temporary
shed, it's
structure.
okay. I did the title company work for 20 years, so
Really?
I know it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, the worst part about this, and I explained to them, that this thing is right next to it, it's a common driveway. And the doors the driveway's here, the door's not a foot from the driveway. So I said, okay, and what's gonna happen when somebody comes down that driveway, somebody walks out of that thing and gets hit with a car?
Right.
Well, then you're responsible. Well, obviously, you don't know much about the law, because if you're parked and you open your car door and somebody hits it, you're responsible, not the guy that hits you. The same thing's gonna happen with there, and I said, that's got nothing to do with responsibility, somebody's gonna get hurt, because you allowed this.
Well, it's like my house, my son,
I
he
got about
lives,
the same thing as getting all the taxes, or taking signals,
it's not gonna work.
no, but it sure got a
Yeah, I
lot of
had a lot of
attention.
trouble with the permits with the garage too, when we put it in.
Got some attention.
Yep. Yeah, it's like the water company, you can scream and holler all you want, but they'll do everything.
Right, with the way they raise the rates.
These guys, I swear those guys are getting paid. That water company is handing them something under their table. There's no logical explanation why our water bill has gone up almost 700% in the last 10 years. That is unheard of, and the ICC keeps approving us. Every time they want to jack it up,
They just
jack
let
us
them
up,
through.
let's go ahead and do it.
This state's in big trouble. See, governor, you're doing everything in the world to drive everybody out of the state.
No, he's gonna bring in marijuana and like Colorado did.
I hope so, I need it.
And then there's gonna be tons
Give me
and
some
tons of income.
Ripple wine and some.
Hey, I have relatives in Colorado, and they say that
Where are you?
since they did that,
You don't have to.
it's perfect. And whenever they get depressed, they just go to one of them little shops.
I've got, this is a letter that Craig put together on your agenda.
Individuals with 24 plan, out. See you later, you're good.
Every house.
Oh, they'll be growing them.
Maybe
I'll do it like this.
that would be a
Oh,
great
boy.
source of income, as you know.
Do you want a
states
bottle of
are
wine?
also becoming
No,
very
thank you,
viable.
though. I need, actually, I just need to drink more water.
What?
No, I'm just saying. No, in general, people think that.
Oh, God, I drink a ton
Pay
of
for the
water.
schools.
It was the business.
Why?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know who takes all their money.
Guys,
We didn't have them at the workshop. They
Yes,
didn't have
right,
it.
Mike's.
Yeah.
All I drink is water. I have coffee in the morning and water the rest of the day, that's all I ever drink.
But that's a
what
good
do they
thing.
have?
My son, I had the kids over for Christmas, and my son-in-law's laughing, he opens the refrigerator, and he goes, all you have is water and yogurt.
Nothing wrong with that. You'll live longer. You know, it's like,
And the stores
Oh my God,
just
this
catch it,
stuff.
and they don't get,
They don't
they don't get their money.
Common sense.
Why they
If you
stole
put
it?
something in your toilet that cleans it, don't put it in your body.
well said.
Nobody's here. How'd the, budget thing go?
Do you really want to answer? It
They've been
went
very
long, it
interesting.
went very long.
So did they screw the new group out of their pay?
No, that had nothing to do with it yet, that's coming. But, they went, it was very thorough. They went over line by
Thank you very
line.
much. This is just what I like to say.
Of his, probably.
I'm sure
No,
you do.
actually,
Yeah.
there wasn't
I
much,
hear,
but they
Algonquin
did,
was
but
exciting.
it was, they went a
I
lot
didn't
more
attend.
intense.
I didn't attend either, I was just reading something.
But they were reasonable. I don't think
So
they
far,
were.
they're just asking lots of questions.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
don't
been
know
very
why.
interesting to see.
They refused to pay the bill.
They're going through everything.
The guesser wasn't there.
No unit government ever does
Somebody asked
that.
for it. They wanted-
Right.
I think it's
But
very.
do they know what they're looking at?
Oh, yeah. Well, the ones that they don't, they're getting explained.
That's a lot of stuff.
So,
It is a lot of
It
stuff.
was very
but
thorough.
I don't know what's going on there. It's insane.
Bob, I have an agenda for you guys.
You
I
know?
have it. You don't need one.
Okay. I'd like to scratch here, okay, perfect.
Good evening.
Hello.
Stand it up, I don't. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the outside, it is, yeah. It's all right.
So that's just where we wanted to end the way today, right? How you ladies doing?
Remember?
Hello, hello.
Good. Happy
Every
Valentine's.
Valentine's Day, that's why I gotta come in here, huh?
It's not my favorite.
What do you get? What do you get for Valentine's?
No, that's my favorite.
Oh, well, that's not a good thing, but.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine, who's a class president, passed away last Sunday, I had to wait today.
Hi, Dan.
And Gary,
Seemed to work out.
Hi, Dan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
so what? It would bring me hope, man.
The whole place was just happening, Steve.
Mike, sir?
It's a heat wave out
Yeah, I
there.
know.
Yeah.
It's 100
It's
degrees.
gonna get cold again.
47 degrees.
Of course. What?
47
Right,
degrees.
I figured there's so many people that sign up and don't come.
It'll be 20 below tomorrow.
You know, kind of work way out.
They did.
One table. One checker asked Coldest, when I worked at the gym, I said, I'm going to a function.
You got Mike?
Yeah, but, and then my dog, and then she went over, she wants to, and seeing it, I guess, it's going to the cat. Crazy.
You're doing better. So Oh. It's a piece that we use. Nice wood. We'll cut it if this are like their yard or their yard. Put it down.
Sign it off. Michael ain't got it. He had to go up what they call for the sign, so to make sure he was the last one on the list.
If it's everywhere.
Sign, people sign after you, forget it.
Maybe 80 or something. I noticed that. Yeah.
How you doing?
If they're
How's it
too
going?
big, you won't, typically somebody has to leave a take those size, you know, cut them open in pallets or something. But something like that. What do you ask?
Since I've been down, it's been kind of neat. I said, kind of a goal. To get it done. Because if I had a goal, then I could get better. And all that. And if I get better, I can
Yeah, this is one of the guys has a brother and has one, and I have a friend who has one. For instance, there's one cruiser that,
So you're waiting on me?
black.
Oh, no, I did, which I. Did you check the online?
And you're exactly right.
It's a goal.
Yeah.
Did you take out?
I did not.
You did not.
I see your share.
See anything on there for you?
So.
You are not gonna be here again.
I hope that.
Jim, how you doing? It's just another day to tell you a few other lunch and lunch.
me. I would have passed.
But it doesn't hurt to have.
Is it easier for you to just go ahead and put the chair behind you? Yeah. I agree. Everybody ready? Okay. I'm fine.
You're up.
I'll hold it. You won't slide on that?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's gonna get worse.
I don't know if you're gonna get one. This is the email.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. I don't know how I remember this. So if you haven't got it, give me an email. All right. At the hour is 7 o'clock, let's call the meeting to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joe hands. All right, it's time for public comment, and on the list I have Eric Severance.
Eric Syverson, 5402 West Flanders Road, Mchenry. I just wanted to take a moment to thank the board for the budget hearings that you've been doing. It's not something that usually any unit of government does anything even close to what you guys have been doing as far as going through the budget and making it open to the public. And want to thank you guys for.
Let's turn that one off, Eric. Just talk about it.
So I want to thank you guys for that. It's been very informative, seeing the in-depth, line by line as you guys go through. So, thank you.
I don't know. If it continues, we'll turn a couple off. All right, anybody else for public comment at this time? Nobody else? Okay, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda, the review of the Mchenry Township Board minutes held on January 10th.
There's no corrections from anybody, I'll make a motion that we accept those minutes
Okay,
as presented.
may I have a second to that?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Wojcicki. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None being heard, motion passes. Next, we have a review of the Township Budget Workshop meetings on February 4th, which are in your packet.
You have February 11th.
No, there's two there. There's
Oh, okay.
February 4th and
Oh,
February
okay.
5th.
I'm sorry.
Incorrect.
Incorrect. Thank you.
Check the dates. We made a mistake on one. If there's no any questions, any changes, I'll make a motion to accept those minutes as presented.
Oh, okay, except I do see, Mr. Miltel just pointed out something to me. There's a mistake in under new business here, discuss budget preparation for April 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2020. That needs to be corrected to 2020 for March there. So Bob, would you amend your motion then with that correction?
I'll amend that motion.
Okay, so we have an amended motion by Mr. Anderson to approve the minutes with the one correction of March 31st, 2020. We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right?
Aye. Any opposed? None being heard, motion passes. Next, we're going on to the the last budget workshop meeting we just had on February 11th, the minutes for that to be looked at and approved.
No one's got any corrections on that?
All right,
I'll make that motion to accept those minutes on February 11th, budget hearing.
all right.
I'll second.
First by Mr. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No nays being heard, motion passes. All right. We don't have any executive session review. Motion for approval and receipt of the bills for the town fund.
And I have those. We, the undersigned members of McHenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 14th day of February 2019 examined and audited the amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payments of the same. I make a motion to approve the receipts and pay the bills for the town fund.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the receipts and pay the bills of the town fund by Mr. Anderson. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rakestraw.
And some discussion.
Okay, Mr. Beer would like some discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Beer.
Well, I noticed on several of the bills for the town, the permanent hard road fund was pretty good. But the town had several bills that had taxes on them, state taxes, municipal taxes, utility fund taxes, and so on. So, if there's some way that this could be investigated and that these taxes, which I believe we're exempt from, certainly all the state taxes.
I don't believe we're exempt from state utility tax, but I will look into it.
Well, the Comcast bill is clean, there's no tax, but then the Comcast business bill, there's a tax. So,
Okay, I will be happy to investigate that and
so here are the ones that are wrong,
okay,
or possibly wrong.
possibly, okay,
First Communication,
okay,
there's state tax, municipal taxes, and so on, deep down to that.
okay,
Whispering Hill Water Company,
okay,
there's public utility, gross state taxes on that. The Nicor gas is state tax, state gas use tax, utility fund
Okay.
tax, Johnsburg municipal tax, and so on. Then there's the matter of the Johnsburg Area Business Association dues for 2019. And I'm trying to figure out what a governmental entity, what the benefit is for us to join that and pay that due.
It's public relations, Steve, and it's communication with our neighboring district. And we also participate in their trade show once a year as part of the community.
So I don't understand what you mean by neighboring district.
Neighboring jurisdiction, Johnsburg's a neighboring jurisdiction of ours.
Okay, so I take it that the township belongs to the Mchenry equivalent, the city of
We
McHenry?
belong to the McHenry Chamber of Commerce and the Winter Lake Chamber of Commerce. We belong to every organization within the township that is such as that within our boundaries.
And the purpose of it is PR.
PR, communication with our residents. We show up at trade shows, give information, etc.
We also, and the township also belongs to the McHenry County Municipal Council government.
We do not belong to McHenry County Municipal anything.
Well, what is it,
We
organization?
belong to the McHenry County Council on Governments, which is cooperation between all the governments in McHenry County, and it's an organization that does a lot of things with intergovernmental agreements, education. We also work on joint projects such as getting 47 done for transportation, along with the county also. If we didn't work as a group, these things wouldn't get done. And it also saves us.
Can I recognize on one thing
Yes.
related to that? I just would point out that Ringwood Road was done as part of that organization's direction of funds also.
So,
The paving, we did this last year through multiple communities,
right,
including us.
it's part of all of that, is what it's part of.
They direct a lot of funds recommendations to funds that are expended. So if you're not a participant on it, you will not receive those funds. As an example, with Ringwood Road this year, our road was paved with federal funds.
That
For
is
a majority of it.
Yeah, that's all part of that McHenry County Council on Government.
So that means you didn't apply for the grant, this organization did?
Actually, the grant was applied for, the grant was submitted by the Village of Ringwood with cooperation of the Village of Johnsburg, the Village of Wonder Lake, the Village of McCollum Lake, Mchenry Township, and the City of McHenry.
Thank you.
I would also point out that I believe the other one was Lincoln Road. That was also done through McCog. Lincoln Road was the City of McHenry who applied for it, and we were joint applicants with the City of McHenry on that one, and those funds came from there also. So if you're not a participant in that organization, you don't receive those funds. Okay? There are a lot of a certain amount, and they are the ones who decide where it's distributed. And if you're not a participant in that organization, you won't receive those funds.
Well, that'll have to be investigated. It seems strange to me that if you don't belong to a certain lobbying group, that you won't get any federal funds that are supposed to be administered on a fair basis.
I think they may have if I may break
Yeah,
that
go ahead,
one more
Mr.
time.
Connon, you know more about this than I do.
I don't know that the organization's purpose is for lobbying. The organization's purpose is to work jointly with the communities in McHenry County. They do have a lobbying arm, just like any other organization has a lobbying arm, but it is a minor part of that. It is not, though, the organization. It's 5% of what the organization does. 95% is helping the community where they belong. So
It brings different governments together to make projects cheaper. That's the purpose of it, to do what we're supposed to do, jointly do projects with other governments to save us all money. That's the purpose of that organization.
I would encourage you, by the way, if I might be recognized one more time.
You might be one more time.
I would encourage you to, once a month, they have a regular meeting on Wednesday night. I would encourage you to go to those meetings. They routinely have guest speakers at those meetings. You're able to interact with other agencies, other governmental agencies and their staff, and put these programs together. Hear what people are doing, join with what people are doing, find those kinds of things out. The McCog dinner is once a month. What is it, Craig? The third Wednesday of every month?
I believe it's the fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday. I mean, Mary, myself, Craig, we've all went to those several times. And it's a great opportunity to network with other municipalities or other governmental agencies on efforts to advance McHenry County.
Fine, then I would propose that henceforth, Mr. Adams notify us of when all these things are, because I haven't received any notice about them, or even that we were members for sure. So I'll be happy to go to some of them,
Okay.
if I would know what they are.
I'll be happy to advise you of that.
Well, not just me, but all of
Oh,
them.
on the board, yes, obviously.
I know Craig has regularly reported to me, and I actually get one directly from McCog, so it is in many trustees or city council members from other municipalities go regularly too. So absolutely, Steve, we would welcome you to be there. That would be great.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on our town fund? We have a first and a second to accept the town fund and the receipts. All right, no further discussion. Let's have a roll call vote. Anderson?
Yes.
Rakestraw?
Yes.
Adams, yes. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Mr. Vera?
Yes.
Okay. So we have all yeses. Motion carries and passes. Okay. Motion for approval and receipt of bills for the general road and bridge fund.
We, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 14th day of February 2019 examined and audited amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorized payments of same. Total reimbursements to be approved, $4,494. Total bills to be approved, $75,588.05. Total bills paid prior to audit, $16,566.18. Total to be approved, $96,648.23. Total receipts, $16,593.28. I'll make a motion to pay the bills and approve the receipts.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Wojcicki to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the General Road and Bridge Fund. We have a second on that motion. You know what, I'll be happy to second that motion. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion being heard. Let's take a roll call vote. Mr. Vera?
Yes.
Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Motion carries. Motion for approval of receipt and bills for the Permanent Hard Road Fund.
Permanent Hard Road Fund. We, the MSI members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 14th day of February 2019, examined and audited amounts due for the items specified in claims attached and hereby authorized payment of the same. Total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $350.80. Total bills paid prior to audit, $22,892.24. So the total to be approved is $23,243.04. Total receipts received by the Permanent Hard Road Fund, $536,526.19. Complete.
I need a motion to accept that. Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to pay, accept the receipts, pay the bills.
Okay, Mr. Wojcicki has made a motion to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the Permanent Hard Road Fund. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Anderson.
In the discussion.
Discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Burke.
99.85% of this bill, of the total bills, were already paid out. It's a mere $350. It's yet to be approved. So the trustees are in this quandary of, what are we doing here if it's already, if the vast amount of it's already done? I realize we're under this constraint of having to pay, within 30 days of the receipt of the bill?
We have to pay within 30 days of the receipt of the bill, and mostly those are just utility bills, I believe.
But it's like, are the trustees supposed to ratify what's already been done?
Oh, yeah, you are. I guess you could say that you don't want to pay them.
If I could, Mr. Adams, if I could be recognized.
You may be recognized, Mr.
I'm sorry? The Permanent Hard Road, the majority of those funds that are expended during the construction seasons. Is for our road reconstruction projects and things like that. So at this time of the year, you won't see a lot of expenditures in that section that are paid after our meeting or approved after the meeting or at the meeting. Most of them are, like Mr. Adams mentioned, the bills that are regular monthly bills that you receive, that we receive.
It would be all your
Payroll,
insurance,
things like those that are standard things that.
There's no utilities in VHS.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. When he said
I'm sorry,
utilities,
there is
those are
no-
road and bridge.
Yeah, usually most of, okay, so it's salaries and.
You'll see when we get to the construction seasons, when we get to March and beyond, you'll start to see those bills being much more. You won't see the small percentage, the $350 or whatever it was, that you would be approving that haven't been paid. You will see thousands of dollars, 10, 20, 30, whatever, those types of bills. So that's the reason why you see that currently, but it will change as we progress into the construction season.
And if most of it's salaries, you've already approved that in the budget, so.
Well, then why do we have to approve it all? It was been previously approved in the budget.
You're approving the line items.
Yeah, but it's all, the fish are already gone, so it's like.
Steve, we have to pay our payroll, and we have to pay our bills within 30 days.
But this is a systemic problem. All right, so what happens if we say, no, it shouldn't be? Then we get the fish after the money?
Well,
Try and recover it somehow? It just, there has to be a better way to do this.
The board could hold funds if they decide that they don't want to pay it, but the process has been where the board has approved and paid, received the funds and paid subject to audit. If the board wants to do something different, you certainly could, but you're still subject to the Prompt Payment Act and making sure that your bills are paid within the 30 days.
Yeah, I still have to pay them within 30 days, so if you want to change that, how would we change that? I'm open to suggestions.
Well, the trustees are not in any position to conduct a real audit of anything. We don't know what the money was really for, if the services were actually provided, if the goods were given to the proper places. I trust you all to do it that way, but it's like, why are we here?
Well, you're here to look over our shoulder, make sure we're not spending money where we shouldn't. We also have an auditing firm that audits us, okay? Up to this date, they haven't found a problem.
Yeah, but the other part that the trustees are responsible for too is there should be bills that go and correspond with the checks that are correct. And those trustees have the ability to look at each individual bill and look at each individual check to make sure that those checks and those bills are matching up. And if you have those, and they have the ability to look at those.
Yes, they do.
Then,
Mike and Steve actually came in tonight and looked at them.
If I could be recognized for a minute, Mr. Adams.
Sure, Mr. Connor.
When I was a trustee, just like you were doing, Steve, tonight, I went through every bill. Things that we did when we go through bills, we look to make sure that utility bills have addresses of services provided at locations that are owned by the township and not locations of township employees' houses and things like that. The horror stories that you've heard. So we looked at it, but when I went through, every month I would come in here and spend an hour or 2 hours going through every bill, looking at the addresses for utilities, making sure that they made sense, looking at what the township was buying. If there was any substantial thing, I would ask what happened. Example, we had a garage door repair. I would ask what happened in the garage door, how'd that happen? Accidents happen, they fixed the garage door, they explained it to me, that's great. Big bills, what was this purchase for? Well, that was the purchase that was in the budget that we talked about for the new piece of equipment. Those are the kinds of questions that I always ask. That's what your purpose is to look at those bills and make sure that they make sense, they're in the budget, and they're things that are planned for, and the money is spent properly. That's what we did. That's what the job would be. That's what I understand the trustee's job is, to look at those, make sure that money is being spent where it's supposed to be spent. And I don't quite understand when you say you don't have any ability to look at those or understand those. I did it for 8 years or more.
The match-up is one thing, okay? I tried to do that. That's how we discovered the township was paying taxes that was exempt in prior months.
And thank you for finding that. We appreciate that. That's part of your job.
But what I'm talking about is what? This bill for the gasoline. How do we know where the gasoline went? The bill matches, but how are we supposed to say yes or no?
Steve, if you'd like to come here when they deliver the gasoline, I guess you could do that, but you have to trust the officials that are running this organization and tell you that we're using it for that purpose. I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, what we're really doing is just ratifying what the supervisor and the road commissioner have decided to do.
Well, we are the elected officials to run the day-to-day operations, correct?
So there's no really any meaningful audit on anything, especially when the bill's already paid in advance.
If I could be recognized again, I would say that that's the way any organization runs, any municipal or government organization. The elected officials that have the responsibility for reviewing it have the ability to review the information, but those elected officials obviously aren't there when they're pumping the gas, filling our gas tank facilities, and then filling the vehicles that are filled with gas tanks. That's not reasonable. You can't be expected to do that. But you can be expected to look at, is there any major changes over the last 3 or 4 years in fuel consumption? Or is there any major changes in anything else. That's what you're looking for, is trends, changes. Why are changes happening if they are happening? And if they're not, that makes sense. If it's been the same for 10 years, okay, that's fine. And then you look at, is there better ways of doing things? Absolutely, bring those forward. But nobody expects you to look at every every time our fuel company comes and fills our tanks, and then monitor every time somebody fills up a truck or anything like that. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is to look at are we getting competitive prices with our bills and making suggestions like that. Or is there any changes in trends? Is there something strange going on? And making sure that's not happening, or if something does happen. As an example would be salt. Why did that price jump up? Are you sure that really jumped up? You're looking for those things, and that's your job, is to do that, I would think, to look for those things.
Well, these horror stories that you mentioned in Essex Township and East St. Louis Township, okay, where there was serious abuse going on. It was the same situation as the trustees are faced with here. There's no real way for them to account for it. And the way it looks like, it's that we've audited everything and hereby approve of everything that's been done.
If I could be recognized again, Mr. Adams?
Just a second, kind of let Mr. Mel talk.
I just have a comment. There's a process right now that you just don't willy-nilly pay bills. You are then given bills by various department heads and supervisors, and these are, you're being told.
And there's backup.
So the bills are being presented to you and saying, here's the backup, here's a bill, we would like you to pay it. So
Right, so
you're being
even
presented
like-
this bill, so you're not just paying a bill because it's coming to the township.
We as the officials are approving those bills.
Okay, so the approval of the bills, and then there's coming to you in order to get paid. Well, then it's also incumbent upon the trustees, and I think what Trustee Veer is saying is that how do we actually really know where these pieces are coming? And from an auditing standpoint, just like any audit firm, they may not check every individual piece, but they can randomly select different bills to spot check whether it is gas or whether it is equipment or whatever it is. And it's within the prerogative of the trustees to follow up on that piece. But from a pure auditing standpoint from each document, I think it would be too incumbent upon any trustee to do each one. But from a process standpoint, you have a process where you're presented with the bill from the department head or supervisor.
From a department head with the backup.
Okay.
And if there's ever a question, I go to that department to ask the question.
And we are fully compliant with general accounting practices.
And I would also, Steve, you had mentioned one thing that I didn't realize. You learn something every day. You pointed out that we're paying taxes on our fuel on certain things, so that was a great question. When you see hundreds of bills, you don't catch everything. I checked into it, checked with the petroleum company that supplies our fuel. They said they've had that question asked many times. They went to the state, and the state has indicated that yes, that does have to be paid. That is a requirement of the tax. If you look at the tax law, you would find out why. They didn't give me a specific explanation. You would talk to your state legislators about that part of it, but yeah, that's exactly your job, is to ask those questions when you don't understand it, and then it's my job to find out the answer to it. And in that case, again, I checked into it, it makes sense, thanks for looking at that, because we don't catch everything, and we ask the question, and we gather the information and go from there.
Yeah, and I would like to compliment you, Mr. Brewer. You've caught some things that have gotten by me too, like these, you're mentioning right now, these taxes. I will look into that. That's part of your job, and I appreciate that. It's another set of eyes.
All I'm saying is, we're saying our names that we've audited this, and we really haven't audited.
Steve, you just were, auditing is a matter of looking at the bills and receipts. Are they there, and are they to the township? That's the extent of your responsibility, is my understanding.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a first and a second on the approval of receipts and the bills for the permanent hard road fund. We need a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
All yeses, motion passes. We need to do no fund transfers tonight. New business, I don't have any unless the board has some.
I do.
Okay?
Just one item, and I can't remember if I brought this up or not, Meg, but, for requests that you would get from Freedom Information,
Yes.
could that be shared with the, do we get, I don't know how often you get requests. Yes.
Sometimes I can get several requests in a day or in a week. I suppose I could share them with you. Most of them are pretty innocuous, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the ones, then, because it here's the school board, we get them, okay?
Okay,
And we get a response from them.
Sure.
If you're getting a lot of, like, but the ones that you would think that we should see, I think,
I'd be happy to share
you know,
those.
whatever they
Sure.
would be, if your judgment of what would be important, I'd like to see those, but I think the trustees should see that,
I'd be happy to share
and then
those.
see what that response is from it.
Not a bad suggestion,
Can you
okay?
share one more thing?
Sure.
What's the definition of innocuous?
Meaning like, one of the questions like we want your audit for the last 3 years, okay? It's online. That's my response. You guys have seen the audit. It's public knowledge. That's what I consider innocuous.
So insignificant?
Insignificant.
I
Okay?
understand that one.
Okay.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, I will share the ones that I consider significant. We'll just make them part of the work package. No reason we can't. Okay? Any other?
Yes, in going through the bills, I noticed that our costs for some things are actually more than what we receive in rentals.
Okay.
And I would like to maybe go into depth, perhaps, maybe at our next budget meeting.
We should do that, and, you know, if some of our costs, and I know they are maybe on the food pantry, that would be the only one I could imagine maybe. We could look at the possibility of maybe raising rent if that's feasible.
Yeah, let's do
To
that.
cover our utilities.
Let's do that at the
Be happy, that's where it would belong, yes, okay.
Mr. Adams, can I be recognized?
Yes, you may, Mr. Cox.
Mr. Rakestraw, trustee Rakestraw, I didn't hear what you said, and if I didn't hear what you said, maybe the audience, the audience did hear. So, and if it has anything to do with the road district, I want to make sure I hear it.
It was a request to see some of the things that, services that we offer where we're actually paying more for them to use the building than they pay for rentals.
In other words, what he's requesting is if the utilities are exceeding the rentals, we should take a look at that, and I don't disagree.
Thank you. I just want to make sure, I want to make sure it wasn't something for the road district that I was supposed to be looking at, that's all.
Okay, well, we'll look at that in the budget meeting.
Just a few more questions. So the proposed budget has been put online.
Yes, yes it is.
And is it possible we can get the road commissioner's proposed budget soon? I know we're not at that point, but so we can have the time to go over
You'd
it.
have to ask the road commissioner that question. Mr. Road Commissioner?
If I can be recognized, yes. We are 3/4 of the way through that budget, and absolutely, as soon as we're done with it, you will have it at least a week before we meet to go over the road budget. Okay?
And can that also be posted online?
Oh, it will be.
It will be, yes.
Yes, it will be.
Thank you.
And also, so I think you're aware of this, but also, once we come to some type of agreement on the budgets, then the public has a 30-day right to see them, which will be online and also review them, okay? And then there would be a public hearing on the budgets where the public is welcome to come and give their inputs on those budgets. All right. Anything else? Okay. Moving on to old business. Mr. Anderson,
I
this...
just have one final
go ahead.
question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Debbie said this was explained last year, but I wasn't here then. For some reason, the road commissioner, half of his salary is paid by the town.
It's the state statute.
Okay.
State statute says the town can pay all his salary, but the road district can choose to pay 50% of his salary. The road district can only pay 50% of his salary according to the statute.
As a maximum.
As a maximum, and that's what we do. Don't ask me why, Steve, it's the way it is.
If I could just respond to that, Steve. Many road districts, especially when you go down south, they don't have a lot of funds, or you go to the very, very rural areas, they don't have a lot of funds, and as a result, they don't have the funds to pay the highway commissioner's salary. So the state legislators said that the township could help with payment of those funds, and made the statute of the legislation that said that it will be paid 50% as a minimum will be paid by the township. That's where it's originated from.
That's incorrect. That a maximum of 50% can be paid for by the road district, so that leaves 50% with the township.
And that's why I said a minimum of 50% by the township. I thought, maybe I spoke wrong.
I'm sorry, maybe I misinterpreted you, you're correct.
Either way, we get the idea. Thanks.
Yeah. And you know, that's something, guys, that, you know, in townships, maybe in northern Illinois, maybe the statute should be different. That's something we could suggest to legislatures. But right now, that's the way the statute stands. That's the way it is done that way. Okay? All right. Can we move on? All right. Mr. Anderson, I took your letter and I rewrote it. I didn't tell you I was going to do that, but I thought after looking at it again, I would. I emailed it to you a day ahead of time. What I'd like to do, we'd like to get this out, so take a look at it. I'd be happy to change anything that we don't like or anyone doesn't like. And then all I'm asking then is after we get through that process is that we sign the back page tonight, then I can make the changes and get it off so that we're done with this matter. So take a look at the letter. If you want to make any changes or revisions, I'm happy to do that.
When I wrote my letter, I wrote it so that you would have some changes of it. I just kind of put a basic.
Right,
thing
you put a basic, so
I
I just expanded a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
And I didn't tell,
But you expanded a little more than I thought.
well, I didn't tell you I was gonna do,
I'm glad you did.
in all fairness, I didn't tell you I was gonna do that, that's why I'm bringing it back.
Well, that's okay, I don't mind at all.
Okay.
But as long as I'm talking about, the first thing is on the cover page, we still got William Cunningham as a trustee.
Right, and we're
We gotta
trying,
get that changed sometime.
well, what we're gonna do is I can get Mr. Veer's name in here and change that.
Okay.
We're just trying to use up stationery.
Right, I understand, but.
But I will change that for the official letter.
That's what I'm saying, but
Okay.
we will send it down that we should be.
I will do that.
Okay. And so, certainly your heading was good. When you get down to the first paragraph, the Mchenry Township Board would humbly, I don't like the word humbly.
Okay, where's that?
The-
Okay, what would you like that to say instead, maybe?
Well, I would like to put it.
Just request?
I'll tell you, here's what I would like to, I'll tell you what I like, I don't know if I'm gonna get it or not, I'll
Okay.
tell you what I like, okay? First, I think we got too many words here.
Okay.
But in that, I'd like to go up to the board, okay? And the board would, I'd like to strike would humbly all the way through.
Okay.
To change Illinois law, we would, and then, no, the board, we're requesting the legislation be drafted. I think that's all
That
we need
your
to
office-
just say that.
That your office draft legislation?
Start with that.
I would probably, yeah.
That your office draft
The
legislation?
McHenry Township Board
Okay,
would request
Okay.
that legislation be drafted. The words in front of that, I don't think we really need to have those extra words in.
okay, that's fine. Be drafted.
Okay.
Period?
Here, yeah.
Okay.
You know, but the way you got it written all the way through, I have no problem after that, okay? Just,
That would be drafted, that would change Illinois law, will we leave that in, or are we getting rid of all that too?
no. Here, so, Greg,
Oh, I got it.
here, just,
I
you see what I got?
Okay, got it. Okay.
And I, you know,
Got
this
it.
this is
Okay.
like
That's
okay.
fine, I agree with that.
And then, when we get down, let's see, this first, second, the third paragraph,
Okay,
I'm not so sure that we even need that whole paragraph.
all right, I'd be happy to take that whole paragraph off.
And I think this should be up to the rest of the trustees, they might have other ideas, but I don't think we need that. And then, the next paragraph, I certainly like you, we would like to thank you for taking the time and consideration of our legislation request, but I don't think we need the sentence after that.
Okay, we can take that sentence out if you'd like, I understand.
And then, and then everything else, you know, the way you've got the rest of it signed off, I had, signed off as, I'm trying to think what I put on my letter, I think, with warm regard, but certainly sincerely. But sincerely is better, I just put that down there. Well, no, I like sincerely better, I would say.
Okay, that's fine.
But other than that, that's my comments on it.
Okay, I don't have any problems with that. Is the rest of the board in agreement with that? I don't have any issues with that, making the changes that Bob has just suggested.
Well, you know, that whatever
Okay?
you guys agreed to is fine. In the second paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
near the very end of that one sentence paragraph, instead of
Okay.
furthering the pension funding issue in Illinois, maybe it should say worsening the pension funding crisis in Illinois.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And then there's a grammatical mistake in the next paragraph.
Well, we're taking out the next paragraph.
Oh, the whole thing's out.
Yeah, whole thing's out.
How does Steve want that? What do you say?
Instead of furthering the pension problem, he wanted to use a different adjective, worsening the pension.
Worsening?
Which is fine with me.
Okay.
You had crisis in there also, right?
Crisis.
Pension funding crisis.
He mentioned
Oh,
crisis though,
I'm sorry, I
right?
didn't hear that. Did you mention crisis, Steve?
Instead of issue.
Okay, crisis, okay.
I mean, I don't know what
That's fine.
the legislators are gonna do with something like this. It's kind of outside the competence of
Is it
The
possible
board.
to hear the whole letter, Craig?
I'm sorry, didn't we have, Dan, do we have? Yeah, I'll be happy to read the letter. I thought we had some copies out there. Let me read the brother. Okay, wait 1 second. Hold on. Do we have any other further discussion from the board on the letter at this point?
Yes,
Okay, and I'll read it back to you when we're done.
Thank you.
one of my concerns is that there's a lot of people who are on boards that don't get a pension, which would have nothing to do with this issue at all. And I feel very strongly that if there are people who are willing to give up their time for the most part for little compensation or none, like on a school board, that we don't want to dissuade them from trying to do.
Well, I'm in disagreement with that because they have a say over a large levy in the same community. That's my problem with it. I don't think one person should have that much power.
Yeah, that's what we discussed.
That's my issue.
I suppose that there are people who could go into it with a bad attitude and do that very thing, but there's a lot of people who try to get on these boards to try to do what we're trying to do, which is try to prevent.
Well, we're taking that paragraph out anyways, and the other issue is that I don't think they'll do anything about that, to tell you the truth, in my opinion, because when you get to downstate Illinois, everybody has to be on every board in order for them to function, so. But that is my opinion.
I mean, the same people have to.
Yeah, because they don't have enough people. You get a small community like, way downstate, they've got, 500 people in the community, they don't have.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But it's my feeling that you should not be on two boards, paid or not paid, because of the large levy in one community that you have a responsibility over. I think that's too much power for one individual. That's just my opinion.
Isn't that ultimately up to the voters?
Well, we're saying two things here, okay? Are we saying they shouldn't hold two offices, or some people can hold two offices? That's why I don't think anybody should.
I'm not sure that I would agree that we should have this even done, because I truly believe if I could be on another board and try to bring the same attitude I bring to this board, I would think that the community would be very happy that there was somebody trying to watch over their tax dollars.
Well, then I guess, are we even sending the letter at this point then?
Well, we've already taken action to do that.
Yeah, we have.
So, Mike, we've
All
already.
I'm saying is.
Yeah, he's just giving his opinion, but we've already taken action.
This is different opinions. We already took action, said we were gonna send it, so.
Express it.
So, Mike, if it makes you feel any better, that paragraph's coming out. It's not gonna say that.
Mr. Evans, if I could be recognized?
Yes, you may be recognized, Mr. Conlon.
Mr. Rakestraw, I'm confused. Are you saying that, as an example, Mr. Anderson should be able to be on the township board and on the school board? Is that what you're referring to?
All I'm saying is that if a person feels strongly about their community and is willing to give their time to try to watch over what's happening, they shouldn't be dissuaded from doing so.
Such as Mr. Anderson's position on the school board and on the township board?
I think he's a tax lawyer. I would be all for him being on both boards, yes.
I'm sorry?
I'm for him being on both boards, yes.
How many boards?
Well, like Mr. Adams said, there's some places where you can't find people to get on all these boards, so why try to dissuade people from being active in their community?
Well, I think regardless.
Okay. Regardless, these are just opinions, so let's move on with this. So I have suggestions now. We have any more suggestions to change the letter at this point? Okay.
Well, instead of saying drafted and passed,
Okay.
two in the first paragraph,
Okay.
why don't we just say enacted?
That would be fine. You're right. Okay. Anything else?
The only thing is we gotta make sure we sign it tonight.
Well, you're gonna sign the back page, which I don't have to change, okay, tonight. And I will change it based upon what I'm gonna read right now, okay? So this is the letter. Members of the 101st Illinois General Assembly, Springfield Legislative Offices, Springfield, Illinois. Dear honorable members of the 101st Illinois General Assembly, the Mchenry Township Board. Okay, I lost it right there.
Would request.
Would request.
Why don't we just say request?
Okay. Mchenry Township Board requests
Yeah, because it's a past word.
that legislation be drafted, period. That legislation be enacted, okay. Okay. We request that he said enacted. We would request that legislation be enacted to prohibit Illinois elected office holders from holding more than one elected office simultaneously. This would include all state of Illinois elected officials. Some examples will be state of Illinois legislators, county board offices, school board offices, township offices, fire board offices, library offices, etc. In some of the current examples of people holding two elected offices simultaneously, they are later able to draw from two different Illinois pension funds, worsening the pension funding crisis in Illinois, period. We would like to thank you for taking the time and consideration of our legislative request. Next paragraph, should you have any further questions regarding the above, please feel free to contact Craig M. Adams, Mchenry Township Supervisor, at my phone number and email address here at the township, and that's sincerely the Mchenry Township Board, and all members would sign it. It would be emailed to the legislatures, to all their email addresses, so we wouldn't have to spend a lot of money on postage, etc.
Mr. Adams, if I could be recognized?
Yes, Mr. Kent.
If it would be helpful at all, the highway commissioner would also sign off on that.
Oh, okay, we will add the highway.
No, he's not part of this board.
Well, yes, Bob has a point there.
He's not part of this board, he keeps trying to get into this board, his name should not be on here.
Okay, he's
It's
not.
nice to have his support.
You know what, he's not part of this board, Mr. Anderson, you are correct, and he is correct.
But thank you for your support.
Mr. Condon, and I guess a letter of support from you would also go a long way, I guess, under your office. All right.
Question.
Yes.
So, to sign this, so we get to sign tonight, which one are we signing?
Your son, oh.
We don't want to sign each individual.
We're only going to sign one copy. Dan will give you the copy to sign, okay?
You guys, okay.
And Dan, just signing the second page only, and I will make the changes as you've directed, and then I will email it out, and I will copy you on the email when I send it out. All right. Any other old business tonight? Okay. None being heard? I have proposed agenda items for next month's meeting. Do we have any? Any proposed agenda items for next meeting, Mr. Anderson? None, okay. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Supervisor's report, you have the part,
Can we?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
In the event that this board is able to move forward on a budget, if you want to talk about it again at the regular meeting, and I don't know if you're going to talk about it at the regular meeting in March.
Yeah, I think that's when we'll discuss it again, at the regular meeting. Yeah. So after we go through some more budget hearings at the regular meeting in March, we'll give some comments on where we're in the budget process in our regular meeting.
As far as new business for the next meeting?
We're past that, but go ahead.
Could we have a listing of every organization the township is a member of?
I think you already asked me for that in the budget hearing, didn't you, Steve?
Yeah, but, so we'll be getting a sheet of paper with a listing
Yes,
of all of them.
and that'll be presented at the next budget meeting. You already asked me for that at the last budget meeting, I believe.
Okay.
Okay. All right, moving on, supervisor's report, you have the park report, the general assistance report, and the senior center report in your packet. Other than working on budgets right now, gentlemen, that's consuming most of my time, so everything otherwise is good in the township. Any questions? None being heard, I'm going to move on to the assessor's report.
We are done with our assessment appeals for 2018. We finished our last appeal on Tuesday. And we should be receiving our final numbers from the county in the next few weeks, which means we can then update our website with the actual finalized 2018 assessments. We have been working on the 2019-2020 budget, and even with some changes in staff, I do anticipate a reduction from our budget from last year. Once we tie up all the loose ends from the appeals, we will be turning our focus to the 2019 assessments. It is a quadrennial year, so that generally means, well, it does mean that all assessments have to be reviewed. Generally, there's more assessment adjustments made during a quadrennial, so we do encourage property owners to make sure they are paying attention to their assessment notices, and if there are any questions on the property record cards or the information we have on the property, that they contact us before those notices go out. Other than that, I just have a couple of opportunities coming up to where we meet property owners at the local expos, the Java Expo coming up Saturday, March 23rd at Johnsburg High School, and then the Mchenry Chamber Expo on Saturday, March 9th at West Campus. Both of those are from 10 to 2, and please stop by and say hello if you're in the neighborhood. We do get a lot of questions and contact with a lot of property owners at those expos, so they are very beneficial, and just another, like I said, another opportunity to reach out to our constituents and be available outside of normal business hours. So other than that, unless anybody has any questions.
Okay, none being heard, I'm going to move on to the highway commissioner's report.
Thank you. I will be extremely brief because I'd like to get home to my Valentine. The only thing that I would highlight is we have a second grant that we will be receiving for $12,000 for revegetating of some of the backsides of ditches of some of our right-of-ways into a natural vegetation, a prairie type of vegetation. So we're pretty excited about making a change to those types of things and saving money over the long haul. So, but otherwise, I did submit my written report, and I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Jim, the grasses that you're going to be putting out, are they normally prairie grasses?
Yeah, actually, we'll be consulting with the McHenry County Conservation District and the McHenry County Defenders. I forget the exact title, but the Defenders and us jointly applied for this application. So that between them and us and the Conservation District, we will be picking the type of plantings that would be appropriate for those back slopes. We actually started it this last year for a small section on Ringwood Road, and the plantings or the seeds were chosen by the Conservation District. So we purchased seeds under their direction. So yeah, I don't know what seeds to plant, so I make sure I ask.
Well, they won't. These plants will not be cut down, correct?
Actually, what we will do, there's two mechanisms for maintenance of these plants, and it's not necessarily the plants themselves, but the invasive species that will go into those areas. What we will do is mow them once a year. in the springtime.
So they do get mowed at least one time?
Once a year, we will mow them. The process is either mowing or burning. We won't be doing the burning, we'll be mowing them once a year. As opposed to 3 times a year that we do now. The benefit to us is twofold. One, threefold. One, stormwater quality. Those plants have a tendency to improve the quality of stormwater runoff. 2, they have a tendency to help us with drifting during the wintertime just because of the height of those plants. Similar to snow fence, but on a much smaller scale. 3, we don't have to mow them 3 times a year. We mow them 1 time a year. 4, you have the aesthetic benefit of it. So that's why we're doing it.
Are they planted on both sides of the road, on the north-south road, or?
North, south, east, west, both sides of the road.
And this will also probably help with snow drifting, is that correct, Mr.?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Will that also help with snow drifting in the winter possibly?
Yeah, that is one of the 4 benefits I mentioned. There are probably 20 benefits, but
Okay.
4 quick ones are those.
Because I always thought that having grass cut at the end of the year was kind of important for preventing drifting. That it didn't hold the snow, but it drifted over it and over the roads. That was my concern, is that if you're only mowing it in the spring, in the fall when you mow other areas, you'll have higher grass there, and that tends to make the snow drift a little bit more, doesn't it?
It actually tends to catch the snow, the smaller snow, right next to it, as opposed to, just like a snow fence. If you drive down the road and see the snow fence, the snow is falling just beyond the snow fence, as opposed to continuing on across the road. So the intent is to catch it and allow that snow to fall into the ditches and things like that, that area just before it gets to the pavement. Again, it's a much smaller scale than a snow fence. It'll work, 20% of what a snow fence will do, but it will be an improvement.
Well, I guess my concern is, I see your fences in the fall, and they're always 100 feet off the road.
Yes.
And if you've got something starting to pile the snow up at the road vicinity, that it may, because you're pushing this, especially on the north-south roads, you're pushing the snow into an area, and you've already got it starting to pack up and raise up.
If you look at the snow fences generally will be 2 to 3 times higher than the vegetation that we'll leave there. So that piling of snow is probably 2 to 3 times higher than what you'll see along the roadside ditches themselves, which means that they'll fall from the ditch line to the edge of the shoulder as opposed to all the way across the road. And it's not something new to us. We're not rocket scientists here. This stuff is being done in all throughout Iowa now. The state of Iowa, the state of, multiple places, it's being done. We're actually just copycatting on what's being done already to try to save money here, looking for ways to save money.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of the road commissioner?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Vera?
The last item in your report is kind of cryptic. The Nippersink Subdivision Association floodplain buyout.
Yes.
So, who are we buying out?
We're not buying out anybody at the present time. What it is the Nippersink subdivision is located at the very northeast corner of Mchenry Township. The subdivision is almost completely encompassed in the floodplain. What happens is the Nippersink comes down, and I'll spend a couple minutes and just give you the history of what I've seen. A year ago, or a year and a half ago, we had a flood. We had the flood the year before last year that was pretty substantial, and then last year we've had some minor stuff going on, and I was watching the Fox River to see if we have any flooding around our properties along the Fox River, so that we're prepared to provide sandbags and help provide assistance. Watching the Fox River, it wasn't coming up. Touching base with Mchenry Township, because when they flood, we're going to flood, because it hits them first and then comes to us. Check with Mchenry Township. No, we have no flooding problems. We don't know. Went home. It was a Friday night. Got a call from I don't remember exactly whether it was the sheriff or the emergency man, or not the sheriff. It wasn't the emergency management agency. It was the sheriff or the residents right there. But some residents on the south side or the north side of Route 12 were calling and saying they were flooding, which kind of completely caught me off guard. what happens is the Nippersink will flood much faster than the Fox River. And as a result, this whole subdivision is under the floodplain. It floods regularly, even long before the Fox River does. We see it, the whole thing is encompassed in a floodplain. So the FEMA, or the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has a program that if you live in a floodplain, if your structure is in a floodplain, they have a program to buy out those residents. Those residents have the ability to sell their property and move out of that floodplain for compensation to what their appraised value is. What happens is then we don't have they don't continually receive funds to repair their houses because of the floodplain. It happens more frequently or on a much larger scale along the Mississippi River and places like that. In this case, what happened was we were given a seminar on building sandbags and providing floodplain protection when they occur approximately a year ago. And at that meeting, that workshop, we had invited both the county stormwater and the McHenry County Emergency Management Agency to attend it, share their information along with what we did, sharing our information about building sandbags, how you can get sandbags, how you can get flood protection when you're done, what do you do with any damaged property, what do we do? We had the health department there to address any issues with that. And one of the things that came up was if you're in a floodplain, there is a program to buy out. So it had happened on the Nippersink in the Spring Grove area. They mentioned it to me. I was familiar with what had happened in the Nippersink, so I decided to have a meeting with the residents of the Nippersink subdivision. There's probably 50 residents in that area. It's a non-dedicated road subdivision, and they flood regularly. I've been in there several times to look at the flooding, and literally, I don't know how they get to their houses. They park outside of the subdivision and take four-wheelers to their houses. And so I proposed to them if they would be interested, we would have an initial meeting with the Township Road District, the County Emergency Management Agency, and the County Stormwater, and we would explain this program to them. If they were interested, we would supply them with forms to fill out, an initial interest form, and we would proceed with that program and provide that service to them if they wish to. It benefits us, the state, the federal government, everybody benefits if they're interested in getting out of that. So that's the program that we've started. We have received probably, just a rough estimate, probably half of the residents in that subdivision have said they are interested in the program and would like to move forward with consideration of the program. Keep in mind, they can back out at any time up to the point of somebody purchasing their property, or a governmental agency purchasing the property. And so we have went through that initial meeting. We are collecting initial interest forms. I have met with the Conservation District to show them, the McHenry County Conservation District, because any property that's bought out has to be maintained by a government agency, and the Conservation District would be the perfect one to do that. Will they do that? I don't know. I presented the initial information to them and will continue to work with them. But that's the process we're going through to help these people that live in a floodplain and flood regularly. And it's not the 100-year flood that they flood. It's more like the 20 and 50-year type of floods. So that's what that is. Who buys out and how that will eventually work, we're going to work through that. I don't have the answer for you yet, Steve. I'm just trying to move it forward to help the residents.
So it's not a federal program, really, if the Conservation District is going to end up being the purchaser.
It is a federal program. The Conservation District isn't purchasing the property. The Conservation District will be the ultimate owner of the property because it has to be a government agency that will maintain it long-term or own it long-term. And they're well suited to it because of the benefits that they can provide along the Nippersink from a water quality standpoint and a vegetation standpoint in a floodplain. They're the perfect organization to do it. They're already doing it just up the Nippersink in the Spring Grove area.
So I take it these homes are subsequently raised if they fall into this program?
They're not. Yes, they will. They absolutely. The the houses will be torn down and the property will be revegetated to, I would assume, a natural vegetation suitable to the floodplain that it's in. And if I recall correctly, the split is 80 federal to 20 local. Will that local be in Spring Grove? Is the county in this particular project? I'm not sure how it will work out. I'm just working through the process to try to find a way to help these people that want to get out of a situation that's not a good situation for them and benefit the environment as a whole.
And then on your snow events, thank you for that. And then on the snow events in January, right above that.
Yes.
How many employees are involved in this? You have staff hours, regularly 306, so how many employees does that count? Does that count you too?
No, it does not. It's 13 employees plowing. The only difference, it would be 13 employees. Generally speaking, we have two game plans. One is for minor storms or light things where we clean up mains. We bring in 4 to 5 people to take care of the mains. But when we have major events or when we're in subdivision after storms, when there's more major things going on, we bring all 13 in to clean not only the mains but the roads and the subdivisions also.
So, of that regular time, 306 hours, how many, I don't expect you to have it in my new breakdown.
Sure.
Just an approximation.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those hours were spent on Mchenry Township roads that you have the primary responsibility of?
We have in Mchenry Township 95 miles of roads. We maintain 120 miles. So rough math in my head would be 15%. Does that sound about right? 50%, 85% Mchenry Township.
And do other entities do some of our roads?
Yes.
So the 95 is really how much?
95 are our roads.
All right, so what's the total number of roads in the township?
95 miles of roads in the township.
Okay, but other entities, through some intergovernmental agreement, do some of those, right?
Yeah, so a rough guess would be out of the 95 miles of road in the village of Johnsburg and the city of McHenry, they may plow 5 miles of road of ours, and we plow about 5 miles of road of theirs. Rough guess. I haven't looked specifically at those numbers.
Okay. And then how does it, because the overtime is what's kind of shocking since it's over twice as much as the regular time. I realize that some of that, if it happens on the weekends or it's a big snow day. Right?
Absolutely. I asked the same question when I was a trustee. If you do the math, they work 40 hours a week, 40 hours of regular time. In a week, though, you have 120 hours and 5 days plus 2 days on the weekend. So 1/3 of the 5-day work week is regular time, and then so 2/3 is not regular time plus Saturday and Sunday. So that's why you see snow doesn't just pick work. Snow doesn't just choose to fall during those regular hours. It is a majority of the time it's outside regular hours. So that's why you see that. The way we defend that, though, is what we do is we work the regular hours plus we will stay out working until approximately 9 to 10 o'clock. Then we call the sheriff, tell them we're pulling off the roads for the night. And then we will come in at about 3:30 in the morning to start working again to clear the roads before there's any traffic on it and get the main lines especially open before the traffic starts at about 5, 6 o'clock.
All right, so is it correct to state that on Sundays and holidays it's double time?
No, Sundays and Sundays are time and a half. Holidays are a little confusing. Our manual says that they get paid time and a half, plus they get the time off as comp time fire credit. I'd have to look back at it, but it is more than time and a half on holidays. Examples, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, etc.
So instead of having such an imbalance between regular and overtime, would it be possible to hire some of these people so that Saturdays and Sundays would be their regular day of work, and they would get off sometime during, so if you got hit on a weekend,
It would be
it would be a reduction in the overtime amount, or could be.
It would be a change in philosophy of having employees working 40 hours a week to having part-time employees. And as an example, IDOT does something similar, but IDOT, because of the union requirements and that, those people that are what they call snowbirds that they hire in the off-season, they actually get paid 40 hours a week for those 40 hours of regular time, and then they get paid overtime on top of that. So I think we may run into some issues like that. I believe the way that we're doing it right now is about the most efficient way you can do it, without incurring extra costs to where the benefit that you think might exist doesn't exist.
All right, so the city of McHenry, you switched because of the efficiencies of where these places
Exactly.
are. About 5 miles each.
I'm speculating, it's somewhere around there, yes.
And so are there any other towns or the county or any other entities that you have this, that you do?
Yes, absolutely. We have an intergovernmental agreement with the Mchenry Township related to Miller Road. They do a portion of Pioneer Road and we do a portion of Miller Road. We have intergovernmental agreements with the village of Ringwood. We plow all of Ringwood Road, all of Barnard Mill Road for those. We have intergovernmental agreements with McCollum Lake. We plow theirs. We have intergovernmental agreements with Wonder Lake. We plow all of East Wonder Lake Road and parts of, I think it's Hancock, I would have to look at it again, but we have all of those. We track those times and we build those municipalities for our time and our materials for those.
So you're not exchanging road plowing with those?
For those municipalities, we're not. Ringwood, we are not. Wonder Lake, we are not. McCollum Lake, we are not. Lakemore, we are. Lakemore, we are. Johnsburg, we are. And the city of McHenry, we are. As an example of an intergovernmental agreement, we just entered into one that's new this year with the village of Lakemore, where they plow properties, Kent Acres by Henny Penny, and properties that are in the township along Lily Lake Road, where we used to drive down there, plow those areas, and watch their trucks head to Coleman Road, head up to Chapel Hill Road, up to Lily Lake Road, and down Coleman Road, and wave high to them on the way by. As of this year, we've changed. They plow those roads close to Lakemore. We take care of the Lakemore roads out by Lincoln Road all the way out to just beyond the county line, and some subdivisions at the northeast corner of Chapel and Lincoln Road, and north of there yet. So, and also Coleman Road and the subdivision at the southeast corner of Coleman Road. So those are the kinds of things that we look to do to work together. And things that we propose beyond that to try to save taxpayer dollars. I've mentioned to the county that we ought to be doing one of two things. They should be retaining us or intergovernmental agreement paying for us to take care of Spring Grove Road, Johnsburg Road, and Chapel Hill Road, because we're driving up and down those roads to get to our routes. If they don't want to do that, they should at least park a truck here and use our facilities and have their person report to here to plow those routes, as opposed to driving all the way from Woodstock to get to those routes. It's the silliest thing there is, and I've mentioned it for the last 2 years, and it's so far fallen on deaf ears.
Well, maybe something should be sent in writing to the county board about this.
Actually, I will be doing that with the new Transportation Committee Chairman, Jim Kearns.
All right, so are there, as of this time, The county doesn't plow anything for us, and we don't plow anything for the county.
So we do not.
And Richmond is the only other township that we have an agreement with.
I take that back. As of this year, Nunda Township plows Lily Lake Road for us. They plowed up they plowed Lily Lake Road through theirs until this year, and as a result, they continue to plow this year Lily Lake Road all the way up to 120 and then, back and forth.
So how is this work prioritized? Do the township roads get plowed first, and then these other municipalities?
Our roads are, the priority of our roads are, our main lines come first. Ringwood, Barnard Mill, East Wonder Lake Road, Pioneer, Miller, Solon, all the main lines that connect the different smaller collectors or smaller local streets. Those are plowed first, and then we go into the subdivisions. Regardless of whether they're municipalities or not.
Here's a side matter. I happened to get a haircut from Bob. And every time a township vehicle passes place, they lay on the horn.
I suspect they're...
Can you talk to them?
I will. I suspect they may be showing their appreciation of Mr. Anderson, and I will make sure that they, if you think it's a negative thing, I'll make sure that they don't do that anymore.
I think it's a petty thing, and there's no earthly reason to do that. And it's probably some kind of a violation of the motor vehicle code to just lay on your horn for no
I
reason.
guess you'd have to check that. You're the attorney, I wouldn't know that. Well, but I'll ask him to stop.
Well, this is your crew.
Again, I'll ask him to stop. How does that sound?
That'll be fine.
Any other questions for the road commission? Okay, none being heard, let's move on. Executive session, we do not need one at this time. I anticipate one at the next board meeting, not this one. Any board member comments tonight?
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to share my appreciation for what the township did during this recent cold spell, taking people in and providing a warm place to spend an evening. It's very important, and I appreciate it. I thank you.
Thank you, and we did feel it was important. We had 9, I want to expand on that a little bit. We had 9 individuals that were homeless severely homeless. There was reasons they couldn't go to pads and other shelters. We didn't want them to freeze to death, so we took them in. It cost the township very little, $100 or $200. The rest was all donations from the community. I'd like to thank the community, a variety of organizations, the Rotary, the Women's VFW Auxiliary, the Moose Club, lots of personal individuals that chipped in money, food, clothes, etc. So we kept those individuals. One individual came in, was out that night that it was extremely cold the first night. Got him in the second night. He had frostbite on him. I don't think he would have survived if we hadn't gotten him in. The good news of the whole thing is, gentlemen, out of those 9 individuals, 3 of those individuals, as of today, are in living arrangements somewhere. They're no longer homeless. So a good thing happened.
Mr. Adams, if I could be recognized.
Sure, Mr. Conn.
Not only was it the township, but the road district had several employees during the whole period. During that time, those 2 or 3 days, whatever it was, that participated in being present at that facility.
Yes.
So that everybody was safe.
I would like to thank the road district, and we have many township employees also volunteer their time. Debbie put many hours in there. I put many hours in, not as many as Debbie. And Sue Rose runs the firehouse station over there in Woodstock. She was instrumental in helping us get this organized. She has the expertise, and it's a humanitarian thing to do, and I just want to thank everybody in the whole community. We did a good thing, and we helped our fellow human beings is what we should do. So, thank you too again, Jim, for the road district and all your help.
I'd like to say that if it's possible, I think Sue Rose should certainly be recognized for the efforts that she put in.
I agree, and I think at one of our future township meetings, we should try to recognize all the people that participated and give them their certificate of appreciation. I agree with that. Okay. And this wasn't an easy task. This was a 24-hour day thing, and people stepped up to do the night shifts, which is hard to fill. So I want to thank everybody again. All right, any other board member comments?
I would like to point out that our assessor was also there.
Oh, our
I think she was arguing with
Yes,
somebody
I'm
that
sorry.
night too.
Our assessor was there, and you know, occasionally with some of these individuals, they're not always reasonable. And Mary had a situation, and she handled it quite well. So I want to thank her too, also. And if I miss anybody else, please let me know. I want to thank everybody that helped out. Everybody jumped in. All right. Any other board member comments? Okay, none being heard. Any public comments at the end here? Yes, sir, Mr. Mike Power.
It's an easy name to remember because I'm so short. I'd like to just take a moment to request that the supervisor reach out to the Internet Freedom for Mchenry County. They've been doing some outstanding work coming around to different townships and talking about municipal broadband and how that can really change the face of this county and bring in a lot of revenue, not only for businesses, but for increasing property values and other things like that. It'd be an outstanding. He has a nice presentation that he can give the board and talk to them about.
I'd be happy to do that. Do you have some contact information for me?
I can get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
I'd also like to mention for anybody here on the board, anybody here, and anybody watching TV land, if you're in Wonder Lake, we have started up a Wonder Lake neighborhood watch for the entire community. There was a couple of instances over the summer that kind of spurred this on. You can find us on Facebook. Look for us there. It's the Wonder Lake Neighborhood Watch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Any other public comment tonight?
I would like to, if that's all
Okay,
right.
Mr. Conley, go ahead.
I would like to personally thank, especially this last week, the road district employees. I don't know if you know what it's like to be up hour after hour after hour and get a couple hours of sleep and then go back out and try to drive a snowplow around. But I don't do it. They don't let me in them because they probably think I'll run too many mailboxes down. But I will tell you that we had some very exhausted guys that kept on going during this last week. So I'd like to say thank you to them. The second thing I'd like to do is to make sure that in particular our employees realize how well our roads are compared to the state's roads. Municipalities seem to be very close to us. County, I won't bother commenting on. I think everybody knows what roads, but in particular, the tax dollars that stay close to home are well spent close to home, taking care of the roads. And I had a comment today, if you ever talk to anybody, talk to a dispatcher that works for the sheriff's office, etc., and ask them who they call first or call the most. You'll soon find who maintains their roads the best. They're pretty honest about who they're calling when there's problems and who is actually up ahead in front of the problems, taking care of them before they exist. You'll get your answers real quick on how well townships, in particular Mchenry Township and Nunda and Greenwood, the townships in general, really do look out for the local residents and make sure that we're out there planning in a very efficient way. So I would recommend anybody that has a question about Mchenry Township or townships in general, check your dispatchers and see who they're calling when there's problems. You might be interested to find that out.
Thank you. With that, I just want to remind on your agenda, board members, are a variety of budget meetings coming up. We're skipping this Monday because it's a holiday, and we'll be back here Monday, February 25th for our next budget meeting at 9 a.m. And then the rest are listed on there if we decide to continue with those as listed. I've got them set out there for you so you can plan your calendars accordingly. With that, I am open to a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Beer, second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard, we are adjourned at 8:25.
I'll send you a link in the
Will ya?
email.
Okay, do that, and I'm gonna email you some stuff too.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
You got one more down here. Steve?
Yeah, they got them in Veterans House in the Good. And so, good thing happened because. Yeah. Well, they said,
Okay, fine.
he's a really nice guy. Oh, very nice. He kind of works that. Right. But they got him on a permanent place. Good. That's a good thing. Good night, gentlemen.
That was about you more than me, this is the Hulk of the Lord. I wasn't gonna shut you down.
did it. Yeah, well, he's used to it for 25 years.
But I don't care.
It wasn't one guy
I
who was
was
like,
I was gonna go against it.
and it's ridiculous.
Why would they do that?
Because they're.
Oh, they're irritating. Oh, they don't want
They-
to.
they-
I'm driving all the time.
But did they not?
I was doing all I did here tonight. Somebody went after work and we do it. You shoot me the finger.
Did they call you in the parking lot?
All right, which one?
Oh, are you kidding, Dan?
Which one is the telephone?
Huh? Because I wish they would, because I'll put our jail in. Okay, let's get these done. Let's get your paper signed before we get screwed up here.
All right, we're missing one.
I only signed one.
Box and. Here.
I've signed 2 of these.
Steve, did you sign this one? Yes, you did.
I'm not on this one.
I signed 2. And then there's 4 of them to sign.
Don't forget to sign the one for the state.
There's the one for the election thing. I haven't signed.
It goes to state here. Mike hasn't signed this yet, has he?
What?
Oh, yeah, Mike signed it.
Okay, good. I don't know, wait.
The one for the letter.
Did you send both copies?
Oh, no, I didn't sign both.
Oh, no, the text, you were talking about one of the Comcast bills.
I don't think I signed both copies either.
Yeah. Is it the difference between, you know, if it's
I
for
won't
here
believe
or if
you
it's
got it
for
right. Just double check.
one with
No,
the
I-
fish, how that
I would
works?
They send us in two signatures.
Well,
Sorry.
one of them's wrong.
This came up to the nightmare for us to leave Brian and so.
Well, it's because the food pantry is rented out to a nonprofit, not to a, but I guess the nonprofit should.
Okay, give me all these.
Okay, Mike,
I didn't sign the second sheet.
It's a new.
No, wow, it's been out of practice.
did you sign this one?
No, I.
Yeah, you didn't sign this one. Let's see your name on it.
Okay, I'm missing two signatures.
Yeah, I looked at those mechanical.
You didn't sign.
Hey, Steve, you got one over here you haven't signed.
The side.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? I did it.
No,
I don't
we got it.
see
Steve,
it.
we
Okay.
got the- I
Now,
think
there was only one
Steve's got
sheet.
it. Oh, did Steve sign this one? No.
There's only one sheet in this one. Dan.
No, there's two in there.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Well, this one here, who didn't sign this one? Is Mike?
Okay, here's one, I don't know where. I don't know.
Don't do this to me. This
No.
is general law.
Don't.
You're getting them all mixed up.
Yeah, this is permanent hard road, isn't it?
I only signed one.
Permanent hard road.
There's 2.
That one's done, so he's got that one there.
But you gotta
There's
sign
two in
twice.
each one of these. I'm missing one in
Here's one. Okay. Mike, who got to sign?
You got this one.
You got to sign this.
general law.
Right.
this your job now?
Okay, I'm missing a general road, I'm missing one of these sheets.
What is it, that down there?
This is permanent.
Is that general road there?
Oh,
No, town.
Dan, you're gonna have a nightmare in the morning,
I'm having one right now.
because there's two on each one, and I only see
Yes.
one on this one.
Alright, well, here, this is town farm, where's town farm?
This is the town. So
Okay.
that one's done.
There's only one,
There's two,
Signature.
this is,
Oh, it's not all signed.
you haven't signed, Steve,
I haven't signed
and
it.
Bob hasn't.
you said this.
Okay.
It's every month.
Yeah, we do, there's gotta be, we gotta come up with a process.
It would be nice, cause this is a nice.
It's all the clerk. Yeah, he was doing his job.
Whose fault?
Who was the guy back?
I just want, okay. Did everybody sign the one?
I'm missing one
Look
signature.
at every one of them, Dan, and if you don't see both signatures,
That's what I'm doing.
there's only one signature on this one.
One signature sheet.
But there's supposed to be two.
I got, this is it town farm?
This is Town of McHenry.
Oh, town farm.
Okay, this is the second one.
That's the
So
second.
we signed this,
Put it here.
everybody signed
That's
this.
done.
That goes here. Give me that.
Oh, go on. Okay. That one's done.
Okay, town, okay, this one's done.
Go through every one.
Okay, yes. This one, like that. One. I'm missing the sheet out of the road and bridge.
Is that it?
Oh,
This one's only got one sheet in it as well.
that's the water. This is road, road and Promer Highway. Somebody hasn't signed this one. Me. Then we've got what?
Well, come on, Bob.
Well, we need to read this one at a time, I know. At least I found a spot here.
is that permanent?
Yeah. So you must need more. Okay, so this one's done, right?
Okay, that one's done.
Okay.
Now, I've got the road and bridge.
There it is.
No, that's the letter.
This is the letter, that one's done.
Did I get signed on that?
It seemed like,
I think you only had one sheet on that one.
you signed it, yeah, Craig's, yeah, thanks. Are you sure there's only one sheet for this one, I think? No, I think there's only one of that. Well, I remember. I think one of them only had one.
No, it's not, you'll have to come in.
To me, it seems like this one, you had one, only had one there.
All right, well, if not.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Good night, Golden Bridge.
I understand. Exactly right. What it all boils down to.
Everything signed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed, Joe.
Absolutely positive, I think. All right.
It's not an easy job getting those signatures.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mike,
Hey,
you want one of these?
can you grab those for me?
Yeah,
Steve?
yeah, Steve. Here's the mic.
Have a good night. And so then for those items, then they'll go out to bid, or I guess they won't, because they're all under 20,000 or 25,000, whatever it is. And then do those then go to the annual town meeting, because the purchase of equipment is supposed to be through the annual town meeting, or are those small equipment that they're going to purchase at the town meeting, actually purchased, and then maintained forever and replaced forever?
Oh, that's their fine.
Yeah.
I don't know where that falls.
Can you go over in Debbie's office and see if my computer's over there?
Sure. It is.
I wasn't asking about that.
It is. I know, you're.
What?
I don't know where that
I'm
falls.
just gonna give.
$20 a month, what's required.
What's the matter?
No, yeah.
Well, you know that small town there that it's about, there's a $25,000 threshold for all those new.
everything's out of whack for, but those are town purchases, not village.
Well, I'll tell you, there's no reason to be having half of the road districts that we need at town funds. That's bullshit. I've been on that for years. When you look that up there, it shows that everything. But, anyway.
I guess it makes more sense than all of it, but yeah, that's.